that thing roll? Or does
it's rolled.
It's difficult to...
Well, as I had mentioned before, we had kind of come to a place where we felt like you had pretty much discussed all of this out.
Yeah.
How much can you talk about?
The new stuff that's happening in my world now, is the article that Washington Post article about Eric. But that's a pretty tricky situation, for anybody, because those people have a way, reporters have a way of taking whatever it is you say and turn it around to work for them and their advantage. And all that negative stuff sells papers. All the good stuff doesn't sell any papers. Think of all the good things he's done.
Well, you had mentioned earlier today that about a pair of shoes that Eric had given you. Okay, can you tell us about the shoes?
About what?
The shoes that he gave you.
Oh yeah, when I went to England, when I first went there, staying at Eric's house, and he didn't expect me to show up, and I bopped on over there, I told him I was on my way anyhow, but I don't think he really thought I was coming, but I went there with a suitcase and guitar, and that was it. I didn't have anything, and there wasn't a whole lot in my suitcase. And he gave me a pair of shoes, some alligator shoes, really nice, and they were too big for my feet, so I put toilet paper down in my toes. Oh man, I had those spongy little loafers on, I used to wear those things all the time. I don't know what to call them anymore. But
what happened to the shoes?
I gave them back to him after the toilet paper. When I walked, like, plop, plop, plop. So I went to London and got myself some high heel boots and everything. So I didn't turn around after I went in Granny's take the trip. I walked out of there loaded up with shirts and velvet pants and high heel boots, and I was the dandy, that's for sure.
Well, back in those days, Eric was, he just gave you all kinds of things and never seemed to stop.
Yeah,
never seemed to end.
He was a generous man. He still is.
Was he that way with other people?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Well, you did mention the story about him giving Jim Gordon a drum and he didn't appreciate.
Yeah, we had on Christmas. He gave. Well, I remember the two things. He gave me a crossbow, and I immediately went and put shafts up in the tops of the trees and stuff. But it had a single point sight on it. Mm. He just put this dot on the target, pulled the trigger. It was shot. Right. And he gave Jim Gordon. He went to London and found this very old snare drum, deep snare like that, all done with ropes on the side. You've seen photos of them, the guys in the Revolutionary War playing those big, and he gave Jim Gordon one of those drums. It was great, and it had the mallets and stuff with it, original thing. And Jim Gordon goes, "What the hell is this?" He was very unappreciative, I don't know, he started out rubbing people the wrong way.
You mean Jim did?
Yeah, Jim did.
Yes, he apparently deserved to have that suitcase thrown out of the train window.
Yeah.
Somebody said they thought that was really a terrible thing that Eric had done, and I was like, you don't even know.
No.
Jim Gordon was always up to no good.
Yeah, he was a tricky guy, He's not so tricky anymore, but I feel for him, But you make these decisions in life, and it's kind of like the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other thing. Go ahead, no, you better not.
Right.
You can make your own choices, no matter what it is.
I do know that every time I seem to see something in the news regarding Eric, is he was giving guitars away to people. He was doing a lot of things like that. And
when we did the Layla album, we went back over to do that piano coda at the end, and that's when we did Thorn Tree in the Garden. But this guy came with like 4 guitars, and Eric got the big orange guitar you see on the album cover, and he bought me a Martin D35, and I kept it forever. And a guy that I thought was a friend in Memphis, Tennessee, somebody told me, and he's has the same name as Robert Johnson, blues player, but somebody told me, so I guess you can figure out his name now. Anyway, I was doing a gig in Memphis with my band, and I said, Robert's here, man. You better not leave your guitars in the back. I didn't think anything about that. I knew this guy. And I didn't think, and this was like a very long time ago. But, and then my Stratocaster went missing. I didn't have it, so I had to play that dang Les Paul, lead heavy. And anyway, I think it was 1991. He called and said that he would like something of mine, because I was going to have a guitar, a rock and roll stars, cars and guitars tour. Hard Rock Cafe was going to do this, and did I have something? What about my old, Martin? And I went, well, it's all busted up, and it was so worn and everything, because I played it all the time. It finally just gave way, had cracks all in it and everything, and it wouldn't stay in tune, and the board in the back pulled up. And I said, well, yeah, this would probably be something good that I can let them have, and maybe it'll inspire somebody. I gave them a platinum album as well. And I'll be dang, this tour never came to fruition. And I called a Hard Rock Cafe all over the place. And I knew Isaac Tigert, and Gary Bells real well. Isaac was the guy that started Hard Rock. He was owner of the Hard Rock Cafe, one of the co-owners. And my guitar was not to be found. And this tour, nobody seemed to know about this tour. And I went back to this guy and I told him, I said, hey man, nobody seems to know anything about this. I'd like my guitar back. And he said, oh man, that thing's gone now. And he said, I don't know where they are on tour, but it's gone somewhere. I said, they say that they don't know anything about it. Well, I'll be dang, I just kind of had to blow it off, forget about it. Because everything I've ever had pretty much that I didn't give away was taken from me. And
so he stole your guitar.
Huh?
He stole your guitar.
Yeah. I was hoodwinked. I had to look that word up. But I was hoodwinked. And yeah, that never happened. Well, it wasn't but a couple of years ago. Suddenly there was an auction at Sotheby's, and it's the Whitlock collection. Wow, there was my guitar, all redone. My Stratocaster was there, my platinum album. I couldn't believe it. I got onto Sotheby's and said, "Hey man, this ain't on." Those were taken from me. And so they had already sold the Martin. The Martin went to somebody, and the other side, well, they pulled down that sale right away. You know, I've really never talked about all this because there's nothing to be gained from it. I don't want anything, don't need anything. I got everything that a man could possibly want in my life, you know. Uh, we have a beautiful home. We share a beautiful life together, have for 20 years. And I think that all those kind of things like that, when you do something like that, it's going to come back on you. And it'll come back on you hard, too. I tried to reason with this person, and it was just, you can't talk to somebody like that and reasonably. He threatened me and all this stuff. He did that to me, and then he turned around threatening me, you know, as a judge on his side or something, I don't know. But anyway, this is not an old poor me thing. It just kind of came out of the blue. You know, I've really never said anything to anybody about it. Those things that I always looked at when people took things from me. There was everything in my past I either gave away or was stolen from me, and pretty much everything. And there was one point when I just gave stuff away to keep people from stealing from me. It seemed like every time I got somebody around, they would they would lift something, a bracelet, a watch, a ring, a jacket. I just couldn't believe it, you know. And these are people that I trusted and thought they were friends and stuff, and no, it wasn't. And finally, I finally had to just shut my world down, you know. And stay to myself, you know. I was alone when I was in England. I lived alone. I was in my house in Ascot by myself. And the next thing you know, I got friends coming and going. I call it friends, you know, so-called. And stuff was going. I'd see somebody looking at a ring of mine or something, and I would say, "Man, I got something for you. Here, look at this. Why don't you just take this?" Because I know what they had on their mind. You know, I knew what they had on their mind. And that's unfortunate, you know. But that's how I learned my life's lessons, you know. And hell, I chopped cotton when I was a boy, you know. The material world didn't impress me at all, even though I had Ferraris and, you know, Rolex watches and all this stuff and diamonds and the whole thing. And I'm a great appreciator and admirer of all these things, but they don't constitute who I am. You know, all of that is not who I am. You know, I'm this man sitting right here speaking to my lovely wife and putting what I have to say out for the planet, you know. And I just believe that sometimes people can't help themselves with what they do, you know. And who am I to point my fingers? My life hadn't been perfect, you know. As close to it as possible as I could make it, you know. But in somebody else's eyes, it might not be that way, you know. It just seems that way to me, you know. You can be generous to a fault. I had crossed that barrier of generosity, and so when I left England, I left everything behind. Everything, you know, cars, total Daytona sitting in the garage, you know. I just left everything. I walked away from my life then, you know. I couldn't keep up with it. Not the stuff, but my life, you know. I couldn't keep up with it. And if you start biting me, I'm going to put you down. She's a sweet cat. She got one tooth missing in the front. It's probably still embedded in some other cat's head. But this is Oya right here. She's a lovely, lovely cat. But I don't know, you know. There's nothing to forgive. You know, whatever anyone has ever done to me, they're the ones that have to answer to that. You know, not me. I don't have to answer to it. You know, uh, I was just learning my path. You know, I was just learning my way through my situation at that point in time. You know, I had never had a house like that. You know, I never had cars like that. And suddenly I was available to anything I wanted, you know. And so what's mine is yours. And that was my thoughts. I didn't realize that it was literal, that it would be that way. But it gave me a whole new perspective. Didn't change my perspective on the material world. It just kind of validated how I felt and feel about it now. You know, I appreciate our home. I appreciate where we are. You know, got my old Cadillac out there. I love it. My mama left that to me when she passed away. And, well, you know, we live a pretty simple life. You know, and it's pretty sheltered. You know, where the place we live is far enough away from Austin, far enough away from San Angelo. It's far enough away from all the places that you can imagine, you know. And it's a real simple, small town. And it's lovely. The people we've met here are just wonderful people. Nobody asks anything. They never ask for anything, you know. And when it's like that, when there's no one who's being needy, you know, you're more apt to open up and share your world with them, you know. And, I don't know what brought all this on, what this discussion. It started out with the Washington Post. I can tell you one thing, that guy interviewed me once, and he was doing his damnedest to get me cornered, and it didn't work. And I finally hung up on him. And he called back, and I gave him another. I said, all right, you know, he understands where, you know, that I'm not gonna, you know, change horses in the middle of the stream. I'm just gonna go on being me, you know. I got nothing to gain by anything, saying anything or taking a stance on anything. But I gave him another shot at it, and he still worked it, trying to get me to say something negative, you know. Didn't happen. Because I knew what he was on about, you know, wanting me to talk bad about Eric Clapton. Lord have mercy, I haven't got anything bad to say about Eric Clapton, never have. You know, I'm grateful to have him as a friend, still to this day, you know, and never asked him for anything. There was a time came when I wanted to divest my everything. I wanted to rid myself of anything to do with my past. And I sold all my catalog and all of my Layla stuff, all of that. I sold the whole catalog. I got rid of everything. I just wanted to start fresh and anew with you and just you and me, you know. And what we make from that, you know, build that up, build our life from that, not relying on something from the past. Well, Eric heard that I had, when the 40th anniversary, I think, or was it the 40th or 30th anniversary? A box set came out. Eric said, well, what's Bobby going to see of this? And Michael Eaton said, nothing. He sold all the rights to everything, songs, everything. So I wasn't receiving a dime from Layla. And Eric said, that's not right. And he got a team of lawyers and walked in Warner Chapel. I told you I was going to put you down. Walked in Warner Chapel and bought all the rights back and gave me all of my rights back to my songs and everything to do with Derek and the Dominoes. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know it. Well, and it was a whole lot of money too. You know, it was like 6 zeros kind of deal, you know. And before the dot dot dot, you know, before that, but I didn't take a dime until all that was paid off, you know. But anyway, you know, Eric's been good to me all these years, you know, since we ever knew each other. You know, I know a different man than they're talking about. You know, you'd have to know him the way I know him to appreciate and understand what I have to say. You know, everybody likes to beat you when you're down. They want to get in on the ass whooping but no, if you're aware of that, you know, you don't take advantage of your position. You know, you have to step back. You know, don't run with the crowd. Step back and be on your own. You know, I'm a crowd of one. So that's who I run with. And you, my love. That's the only crowd I want. Our dogs and cats and our lovely place and our few friends that we do have.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. I'm glad I was able to open up this, you know, and say something without being prompted or prodded by somebody, you know, who's got a pen in their hand, you know. So yeah, the Eric Clapton that I know is the guy. You know, he's the real person that I know. He's the real friend, you know.